Hey y'all, welcome to day 25 of my 30-day engagement series. My name is Sean Aaron, he, him, his, and today's question is, how has your family dynamic changed since coming out? Listen, this is heavy. This is real heavy. So, a lot to unpack here. But first, I want to say for folks who have been rocking with me for 24 days, thank you for showing up on the 25th day. I really, really appreciate you. Have you engaged with this content? Have you shared any comments or shared an episode to a person in your network? If not, please do so. For folks, if today is your first day joining me, if you haven't listened to any of my other days, be sure to go back and check out any of the other videos that have topics that interest you. But I also want to say welcome and thank you for taking the time out to join me today. And so, how has my family dynamic changed since coming out? So I have talked about this a lot of times that I've gone through all of the letters LGBTQ, and so I'm gonna talk first about the dynamic with my birth family. So when I came out to my mother at 18, I don't even think I came out. It was pushed out. Anytime that I've ever actually come out, unless it was like to chosen family or really close friends, it's been not my choice. It just happened to come out. But I was involved with a girl at the time, and she would always send flowers to my house, candies to my house, cards to my house. Until one day my mom was like, "Who is this girl and why is she sending you stuff?" And I said, "Mom, I'm a lesbian." And so I have I've come out to my mom a couple times in my life, but each time I got like a beating or whooping, spanking, whatever you want to call it, and I was told to never speak that again. Never say that because I'm not a lesbian, I'm not gay. Don't ever say that again, or I was gonna get another whooping. Anyway, and so I told her for the final time. She did not like it. She was upset and some other things had transpired, and so that was her reasoning for kicking me out of her home. She never really said that it was because I was a queer person. That has never actually come out, even though she condemned me to hell. And she wrote me an eviction letter on my bedroom door. It was like this 4-page letter of like why I needed to get out, why being a lesbian was going to send me to hell, all of these things, right? And so, for folks, if this is your first day with me, this is a Black trans reflective series. So, if you're like, wait, a lesbian, what are you talking about? Right? That's why. I once identified as a lesbian. I was socialized as female. I was born female at birth. And so later in life, in my early 30s, I medically transitioned. And so that changed my family dynamic from my birth family because I was then homeless in my car for 2.5 years and I didn't have any contact with my family whatsoever. And that was shocking to me, right? As a child, I'm a child. At 18, you're still kind of a child, you're still a baby. You don't really know what the world is about because you haven't been out there. So, how do you know, right? You only know the world based on experiences and what you learn maybe if you go to college or when you first get your first job. That's when you really learn about what the world is. You know what your parents told you the world was, but that's from their experience, right? You don't know what the world is until you actually experience it for yourself. So I went 3 or 4 years without even talking to my mom. I never didn't look at her, didn't call her, didn't talk to her. And so some of my family, even to this day, I'm still estranged from. That I don't have any contact with. I have a lot of cousins. I don't talk to any of my cousins. Wow, I don't talk to any of my cousins at all. And some of them, not because they did anything to me per se, it's just that we went our own separate ways as we grew up. And also with me being homeless, I kind of went silent. And so when I resurfaced, I was a different person. And so some of the things that we used to talk about or do when I was younger, it didn't relate to me anymore, right? Because they got to continue on being children and they got to continue on with their adolescence and I didn't. I had to grow up very quickly, very fast, and I had to learn how to survive. And so we weren't the same folks, even though we both were 21, right? The time where you're supposed to be hanging out with your friends, you can go get your first drink, you can go to the club. I didn't have time to do that. I needed to survive, so I needed to work, and I was working 12, 15 hours a day to survive. And so we didn't have those same experiences, and so I didn't really talk to them anymore. And so that just rolled over a year, compounded year after year of just not talking to someone. And I have a friend now that says if you don't talk to them in 30 days, you don't know them. And I think that's true, right? Because people, if you I think that's true if you're a person that is consistent on growth and if you want to continue to evolve as a person. Yeah, you're not the same person in May that you was in April, right? And so my dynamic with my blood family has significantly changed. I have uncles that I haven't talked to in 10 years. I have my birth father, when someone told him, I don't know who told him, that I was getting ready to transition. Began my medical transition journey in 2013. And so that was 12 years ago. Um, the day of this recording in 2025. And so he called and said, "Hey, somebody told me you want to be a man." And I said, "I don't know who told you that, but yes, I am transitioning." My father was never in my life to begin with. He was in and out, in and out. And so he said, "Well, you'll always be my baby girl." And I say, "Listen, you haven't even been in my life when I was a girl, when I was a child, when I needed your guidance." And so for me, I don't ever have to talk to you another day in my life. And I hung up the phone and I haven't spoken to my father in 12, 13 years. And so that dynamic shifted drastically. I mean, it didn't really shift. It just went on the same linear path that it was already on because we really didn't talk anyway, right? And so a lot of my birth family, a lot of those relationships, I talk about therapy. I talked about therapy yesterday as being a part of my healing. And so I've actually learned to heal from all of that. So all of those relationships that I held on to from my birth family for years, I finally learned how to shed that. And I'm at peace with that. I'm okay with that, right? I know that's a very hard step for folks to do. And I hate when people say, "Oh, you only got one mom, you only got one dad." Yes, that's very true. But they only got one me too, right? And so they need to treat me with the same amount of respect and honor my relationship as their child, as their cousin, as their niece or nephew, right? They need to cherish those relationships too, because they only get one of me. So I don't like when people try to force familial relationships just based on, oh, that's your mother. So it's like I'm not going to continue to subject myself to harm just because you're my mother or just because you're my father or grandmother or whoever you are, right? And so I know from experience that family is by love and not by blood. And so I live by that. And so that goes to the next part of my family dynamic, which is my chosen family. And so many years later, the after I split with the girlfriend that I was homeless with, I grew up, right? We go through relationships, we go through issues. And so we sever ties with people and we just go on our separate way and they go on their way, right? And so I met a woman when I was, I think 28, and we went on to get married, and that's my son's mother. And I was in relationship with her when I transitioned, and so her family, her mom became my chosen mom, and her sister, and family and friends, right? And so that has become a part of my chosen family, and also folks that I've gained in community have become my chosen family. And so coming out to those folks who are saying, "Hey, I'm transmasked," has never been an issue. I remember when I first began my transition, my wife at the time, she would literally, it was almost like I won't say royalty, but like when you see like movies like, I don't know, Bridgerton, for instance, before the queen comes to a party or a function, they go and make sure that everybody else know that she coming. So that whatever preparation you need to get together or fix or whatever for her to grace the presence of your party, then you need to get it together because she on her way, she coming. Right. And so my wife at the time would do that for me. She would like clear rooms and let everybody know, Sean, that's he goes by Sean now. His pronouns are he, him, and don't fuck it up. So I would literally go into spaces, into rooms, and people would be calling me Sean that never called me Sean before, right? And I'd be like, how they know? Oh yeah, she straightened them out. She let them know. She let them know that the king was coming. Anyway, so I have learned through therapy, which has been my healing process, to shed all of those familiar relationships. And so now my family dynamic is all of my chosen family, all of my chosen loved ones and friends that I have gathered up. I don't want to say gathered up, but for folks who speak life into me, for folks who have my back, for folks who check in on me, where relationships are reciprocal. There's no harm being done. There's no verbal abuse or no toxic masculinity or I don't know. I feel love. I feel held. I feel supported. Right. And those are the folks that I've learned to surround myself with. And also those people, the chosen family, I'm not talking about them in therapy because they're giving me everything that I need and it's reciprocal. Right. The relationship is a back and forth relationship. And I'm not giving more of myself in order to be in relationship and community with these folks. And so my family dynamic has changed a lot and I'm okay with that. I'm really at peace with that and therapy has helped me to do that. And so I want to know, how has your relationships evolved since you came out? How has your relationships evolved since you began your transition? Did they get better? Did they strengthen? You know, like once you come into yourself and are able to be authentic, sometimes relationships get better because now you're able to walk in a more healthier way and people see that. And so it helps to build a healthier relationship with folks that a relationship was once severed. And so maybe that happened to you. I would love for you to share a comment below. Let me know how relationships in your life have evolved, either chosen family, birth family, or anything in between, right? So, once again, my name is Sean Aaron, he, him, his, and today is day 25 of 30 days. Yo, we got 5 more days, y'all. Keep rocking with me, keep showing up and supporting me. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.